What a wonderful way to be back here again with you in the Issues Room. Today is our 120th edition. I'd like to welcome you wherever you are. Welcome to you, our Facebookers, our YouTubers, LinkedIn, and those of you who are also with us in the Issues Room. We say welcome. You can catch us on the Issues Room page and on Twitter as well. We encourage you to join us here tonight. Great conversation is expected to be about Liberia, again, our young population, the young people uh, who are at risk youth, we'll be discussing tonight. We encourage you to join us on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are the alternative social media platform coming out of Liberia to discuss Liberia. And again, I'm Volcano Shelton. Let me go across the room to welcome Moses Sandy to this 120th edition. We're in the new year. Today is the 10th already, Moses. Time
Yeah,
flies.
definitely it does.
Yeah.
Um, Another new beginning, right, Volcano? Gradually making it. We have uh, exactly today, the 10th, right? So we have 10 months to elections in
10,
Liberia.
10, 10 months. Yeah. Today, October 10th.
Today, the 10th, yeah, because October
Today
10th
in
will be
October
election.
10th will be the day
Yeah,
of national elections
yeah,
in
10
Liberia.
months.
Yeah,
10
but
months.
quickly, I'd like to encourage our viewers and those who are following us right now to come join us here tonight. Share the link, invite someone, uh, be a part of the conversation. We're hoping that you can crusade the word out there. The Issues Room is here for you. We discuss Liberia, we discuss the continent of Africa, and we discuss the diaspora of Black people. And we I want you to follow us, love us, like us, and encourage others to join us. Tonight conversation will be a great one. But before we proceed with our conversation here tonight on the mental health crisis in Liberia, we'd like to go to trending news. Moses, what you have there to start off with quick before we go to our studio guest.
Well, we have two top stories that emanated from Liberia today. We got information that the former Vice President Joseph Walker is currently recovering from an illness that developed on Sunday. He fell sick and he checked himself in at a local hospital. We got information that he was discharged today. He's currently at home recovering. So we just want to wish the vice president and his family, the UP family, he's standard bearer of the Unity Party. We want to wish every one of them well, and we're wishing a speedy recovery. Last month,
Just before you go to that, I would like to
yeah.
quickly say that let no one say, oh, because we told you yesterday the old man is old. Sickness for everybody.
Oh
The
yeah.
young, the old, whoever you are, you can get sick. So I just wanted us to be clear on that, and people will run with this and make this a major news. But
Yeah, you're
you know,
absolutely right.
everyone can get sick.
Mhm.
Young people can die. Old people can die. Old
Oh
people
yeah.
can get sick. Young people can get sick.
Mhm.
Healthy men can die. Sick men can die. So
Oh yeah.
nothing is promised. We
Yeah,
talked about
and
it the other day.
thank you so much for kind of
Yeah.
for putting that out there, because I know opponents by now say, yeah, we said it. They
Hmm.
may well
Hmm.
not make it,
Yeah.
but like any of us can fall sick at any time, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Now, the second news, trending news, is that the Minister of Finance Development Planning, Samuel Chue, is back in the country from Turkey, where he spent a couple of weeks undergoing medical treatment.
Several.
And
I wouldn't even use the word couple of weeks because I thought he went somewhere in December.
yeah, he went
I
early
think it was just
December.
about it. Yeah, early parts of December.
Yeah, he went early
Yeah.
December after running into a motor accident in Lofa County, where he had gone to deliver the commencement speech at the Lofa Community College. While on his way back to Monrovia, we are told his convoy ran into a motor accident. Following the accident, the Liberian government flew Minister Toure along with his wife to Turkey. We are told that his other aides that were with him
They
were
send him to
treated,
JFK.
were treated at a local hospital.
No, no, no. They send
Yeah.
him to JFK. They said the man is not VIP, so
No.
let him, let him stay at JFK.
Yeah,
They
so
thought we're
many,
on a charter flight, my man.
yeah, so many people's lives are not precious, man. Let Toure and wife go. When the other people die, we just say anything to the parents. It's not laughable, but this is real
Yeah.
serious.
So the man
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, he's back. He's back in the country. He
Okay.
arrived today.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Okay, Moses. We have been contemplating this conversation. We've talked about it, but
Yeah.
we think that it will become one of those existential conversations we must hold. Considering the last 30 plus years of our country since the Civil War, the cessation of the Civil War, and its successive leadership from Ellen, actually from Udi Bryant to Ellen, and now to George Weah. We
Yeah.
have not seen much done for our young people. And today we have an estimated 300,000 who are in dire shape and needs all the help in the world. We have, a professional who's going to join us here tonight. I'd like to welcome Mr. Teddy Brown here as our in studio guest to have this conversation. He's in the mental health business. You are as well, Moses. So
Mhm.
that is why I thought to put your MSW on the flyer. Uh,
Mhm.
I, I,
Yeah.
I didn't want to put anything of mine, but but
Yes.
but but
And
I'm clean host, and also I will say that I will chime in as necessary because I'm Okorum with the day-to-day happenings when it comes to mental health. I'm in human services, so I know the business. Uh, but you guys are the licensed people. I'm on the administration side of things, so I will coming as necessary. But before we start the conversation, I'd like to thank the folks who are coming in. Thomas Awaji, thank you so much for sharing the word, spreading the word. Godwin, we adore. We're looking forward to seeing you. Rivers Espro, Hardy, Kojo, Awaji. We're looking forward to seeing you. Flomo Living Soon, thanks for joining us. Mapu Hall. And we're hoping that a lot of folks know now you guys who are already here help to invite others. We want to see the number climbing. Um, so, Moses, as I was saying,
yeah.
we have thought about the situation and what impact it can have on our country, if nothing's done, because these are the young people who should be inheriting, who should be taking the helm of leadership, maybe in the next decade. But if they're ill prepared and they're losing the years they're losing the years. And if nothing's done substantive enough collectively across the board, our country is desolated. And so we want to have this conversation tonight. Frederick Moyu, welcome. But before we start this conversation, let's look at mental health. Let me hear from you and Teddy. Mental health. And let's just use 2 minutes each to give, divergent views about what mental health is first, some of the causes of mental health, and then we can then go to Liberia. So let's start that conversation. Let's start with our guest, Teddy.
Yeah.
If that's yeah.
Mhm. Go ahead, Daddy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for inviting me as one of your
Mhm.
panelists.
Yeah.
It is with extraordinary pleasure to be a part of this conversation, and I'm hoping that we can uncover issues that directly impact Liberia in terms of mental health and shine a light on how it affects contemporary society. So, I want to start by talking about how trauma affects Liberia because it has been a precipitating factor of our long lasting mental health conundrum over years and years and years. So there is a common misconception of mental health in Liberia that people with mental health are crazy. People with mental health are walking in the street and sleeping in trash, but mental health can manifest in so many different ways. So I'll start with definition. Mental health is a dysregulation in the brain function that is caused by psychological, physical, and emotional and abuse and distress. As you all know, we on this panel we all experience directly or indirectly trauma for over 14 years, where 250,000 lives was lost, a massive displacement of our people, and that left us physically and emotionally devastated. Trauma. How does trauma manifest? Trauma damages the hippocampus. Hippocampus is a part of the brain that's responsible for learning, memory, and emotions. And we see so many of our young people life impacted by trauma for over years and years and years. And that's what mental health does. Mental health precipitates distress, war, violence, and ongoing long lasting trauma until it's reversed.
Yeah, so
Yes.
thank you, Teddy. Volcano, let me just add on to what Teddy said. Like he already said, when we speak of mental health, we're talking about psychological problem. People who are emotionally disturbed, and when you have difficulties sleeping, when you have difficulties associating with people as a result of being exposed to emotional or dealing with emotional issues, that's a symptom of mental health. Uh, let me help our people understand. When quickly, let me say this. I want people to know that besides being a journalist, I am a career uh, social worker. I have 17 years working experience in this business. I'm a licensed master social worker, work with various populations, including people who have emotional problems. So, what makes mental health different from physical health is this. In mental health, whenever you hear the word disorder, it means disturbance, emotional problems. So when someone has a disorder or when someone is given a disorder, say a man who went through marital problems, divorce, and he finding it difficult to move forward. As a result of that, he gets so stressed out. He's not associating. He lost interest in everything and start even thinking about wanting to commit suicide. That man is emotionally disturbed. That man is struggling with mental health. That man cannot go to a primary physician who treats him for cancer to help him. That man must be seen, and that's where you come in, Volcano. Let me put your secret out there.
Mm-mm.
Besides being a journalist, you also a student of psychology, and you have a training in psychology. That is where you come in to help Teddy and I. You guys do psychological evaluation to determine. We, the mental health people, will also do the same kind of assessment to determine what is happening to give the right diagnosis and begin to treat the person. So in Liberia, like Teddy said earlier, when people who are emotionally disturbed, when we see those people, the first thing we say they are insane. A mental health psychological problem is not insanity. We need to draw that distinction. In Liberia, the guys who are walking the street and talking to themselves, those people are hallucinating. Hallucination is a component of mental health. When you hear voices, when you talk to yourself, when you say things to yourself, at the same time responding to yourself, that's what we call auditory hallucination. Hearing voices and visual. When the man said, "Oh, but my man, stop touching me," and everybody turning and looking around and wondering, "But who is this guy talking about?" The guy is hallucinating. He's seeing images that other people don't see. Sometimes the man will leave the house, undress himself, and run in the street. and acting like someone is running after him. The man is just stabbed. It's no witchcraft. This is why we go to the church for the people to pray over you. No, this thing here is not about prayer. I'm sure Teddy can speak to that. It's nothing, it's just a psychological problem. When you have that man on antipsychotic medication and that man's giving the right kind of support, that man's situation will stabilize. He will not hear voices. No devil will be running after him. In Liberia, our people have a limited understanding of what mental health is. That's why the juju man, they say, I go to the zoo bush. The man comes to even refuse to eat for his own mom because the man in the zoo bush has already told him that his mom is an enemy. His mom wants to kill him. Paranoid schizophrenia. That's it there. The man gets so paranoid to the point that even his own brother, he can't eat from his brother because somebody told him that his brother wants to kill him. The man's afraid. That man needs help. So we're talking about psychological problem. What makes it difficult for you to focus? What makes it difficult for you to function? What makes it difficult for you to concentrate? What makes it difficult for you to socially interact with people, to concentrate?
So one of the things I heard from both of you are
Yeah.
all of the other causal factors, but I never heard any of you mentioned drug.
Oh yeah, that's
And
that's another
So,
and
so
different area. Yeah,
we
that's
were going to
addictive.
expand on that when
Yeah,
we
yeah.
started
So
talking
yeah,
about my experience in
yeah,
yeah,
Liberia
yeah,
because
but
yeah,
I also want us to tie it into some of the causal factors of
yeah,
mental health, because
yeah.
somebody who abuses drug to the point that it has a problem with their cognitive ability to rationalize and reason, that can lead them to depression, that can lead them to
Absolutely.
inability to function, and that can lead to mental health. So I just wanted to, just
Yeah,
so you know, because most of what is happening in Liberia as we go to Liberia would be the high potent use of drugs associated with the trauma of the war. And people say, wait a minute, I'm hopeless. Learn hopelessness, learn helplessness,
mhm.
can't find job, can't do anything. So it just, all right, this is it, man.
That's it. Yeah, the Matthews. Oh my! And then, like you said, and Teddy, I will let you comment. Like you said, Volcano. In mental health, we have what they call drug induced. Means that, take for example, someone who is addicted to, say, uh,
Heroin.
heroin. Heroin is an illegal drug. It is an opioid. The primary objective of heroin is a painkiller. When it is used for social reason, because when people take heroin, what it does, and when you do that after a given period of time, in the brain, there's what we call dopamine. It's a chemical in the brain that associate that substance use, the good mood that it puts there in.
The
And
temporary good mood.
yeah, the temporary good mood, that is when the man is even homeless and when the man has taken in the heroin, the man feels that he's the executive director of a company. He has no problem. That's what we call self-medicating. When people have these psychological problems and the only way they feel good and that they can deal with the issue, what do? They run to the drug dealer. They buy the drug. The man come home, whether the kids have food or not, that man doesn't understand what is happening. The man is okay. The only time the man realizes that there's no food at home when he gets sober. And then when he gets sober and the problem reappears, what does he do? He runs right back to the drug dealer. That's what leads to addiction. The addiction is when somebody is hooked on the substance, when you become dependent on the substance, when substance use begin to interfere with your daily living, that you for Kendall Shelton, you will work and take your entire paycheck. Instead of paying your rent, you go to the drug dealer because that's the only thing that you have learned over the year to please you. I know that this is a very huge topic. Let me get Teddy. He has a lot of experience. Let me give you the opportunity. Let me
So
share your thoughts here.
just to add to that,
Yeah, yeah,
a survey was conducted in 2008. I want to go back to that because
sure. Yeah,
that survey reported that 40% of Liberians exhibited symptoms consistent with major depressive disorder, and 44% has symptoms of PTSD. And that's why I focus so much on PTSD, because a huge number of our people were exposed to trauma during those 14 years of insurgency, which has led us to substance use disorder,
absolutely.
survival sex among our young people in Liberia, sexual violence. In fact, there was a story about a girl, 6 years old, 2005, who was returning from the farm and was raped by her 14 years old, her 22 years old cousin, relative. And doing an interview with Women Against Rape, she said, I urinate, I go on myself, sometimes without even knowing, and my stomach still hurts. She said these words in tears. Those are the impact of trauma and mental health in our contemporary society now. There are a lot of young girls having survival sex because of trauma. Those are one of the precipitating factors of trauma, right? Survival sex. A lot of young men and women are engaged in sex to get adequate food, money, and shelter. Substance abuse, right? People in Liberia, young men and women now, are using substance abuse because of that repressed trauma from years and years and years, directly and indirectly impacted from the war or from the parents who were not adequate enough to raise them because of trauma. And as you know, PTSD also has a comorbidity with major depressive disorder, with obsessive defiant disorder, ODD, oppositional
Yeah,
defiant
define this
disorder,
order.
bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. It has the comorbidity with all those other mental health, and that preclude a parent from appropriately raising their children or helping them navigate through those developmental stages. Leaving a 13-year-old to raise herself, leaving a 13, 14, 12-year-old girl who becomes adoptified or parentified, right? And when she finally gets some kind of opportunity to go to school, our people, our schools are not equipped enough to handle mental health. They're not equipped enough to handle learning deficit, and those kids are left alone and are ostracized from society and end up in the street having kids at the age of 13. Let's talk about substance abuse, which is a direct impact of trauma and mental health in Liberia. There is an increasing number of young men who have dealt with that trauma, and as a coping skills, they result to using
Using
substance to
So medicate.
distract
Yeah.
and cope with that pain, just to deal with that pain and suffering, to suppress that pain and to cope with that trauma. They end up using drug. I read this article in from LEDA, Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency,
Yeah, the LDA.
that approximately 355 ghettos are in Montserrat County right now. Our young men and women are suffering. 355 of those ghettos were added in 2022. It is proliferating within our society. There is medical vulnerability because of mental health, social vulnerability because of mental health, disruption of likelihood, families being separated. Mister, you can speak to family separation, and because you are cognizant of how it impact society. But there are economic vulnerability for long, long, long period of time. There is a long lasting trauma that impacts contemporary society in Liberia. I want to also touch on poor academic performance, lack of parenting capacity. A lot of our parents are lacking parenting capacity because of that trauma, which has become a generational issue, right? From this generation to the next generation, because that trauma is not being addressed. A lot of our young men and women, which I encountered during my travel to Liberia, are lacking discernment. That's PTSD. It impacts your ability to learn and It affects your memory and ability to make decisions. A lot of our people have been affected by trauma, and in a way that it affects our ability to elect people who value the interests of society. It's abysmal. We idolize our oppressors. We idolize those people who abuse us
And Teddy,
because
I
we
like that
start
point.
from
I like that point. I like
Yeah,
that point because when you look at a bulk of those young people who are doing the zigway and the whole say and all of that,
yes,
many of them are suffering mental health.
welcome back,
yep,
Miss.
They
Yeah,
don't have the capacity, like you said, to discern
yep,
between what is there for me, what do
yeah,
I benefit as a result of making a Nathaniel McGill who became a serious millionaire within 5 years, a
yes,
senator.
yes,
What couldn't he
yeah,
have done when he was minister of state? Now he go in the house to kind of masquerade on a whole new, you know, title, thinking that I would benefit something. They don't have the capacity, and so they want what is quick fix. So in that process of getting $10, $15 here for vote, that's
yeah,
a quick fix. They run back to the ghetto and chill
yep,
there, but it just sold a future for
mhm,
another 6 years and with nothing on the books, because we'll come to some of those things that we think that government should be doing. But the
mhm,
very government that should be doing those things have people who are in charge, but don't give a crap about the
mhm,
well-being of the young people. And what bothers me is that where does successive leadership comes in? How can we give this country back to an ill-prepared society?
mhm,
Because the bulk of our young people are in a place where it seems as though there's no hope, there's no return. And I
mhm,
thought to strike that because I think that was a way to put it, that a lot of our voting population, even the ones who don't claim to be mental health related, but because of the illiteracy rate and how they're not occurring with the day-to-day happening in the country, they will go to the polls and they will still vote with no purpose.
yeah,
And the purpose should be the future of the country, because the older ones should be voting right so that those younger ones can have a better future. And it's unfortunate. And we have 10 months as of today. Today in October, which is the 10th, the people will be at the polls.
yeah.
And mental health plays a part in
Critical,
how they vote.
it's critical.
critical,
Yes,
critical, very critical.
Plays a part. Quickly
It is.
before you continue, Ahmad Freeman will say thank you for joining us. Listen, guys, Rivers Pro is good to have you. Mitchell, London, let's share the word. Namiento, Nino Brown, good to see you. Welcome to the show. We're looking forward to all of you folks here tonight. Continue. I want to see the numbers going up. Great conversation. You know, when you're in the issues room, it's all about intellectualism. We don't come here to joke around. We come here to discuss the things that matter, and we put serious thought into what we're talking about. A lot of
Yes,
research done here by these two experts. These are practical experiences coming to the table here to have this conversation. Coupled with me, you know, and so just imagine
yeah,
you got a serious crew here tonight.
yeah,
Arthur
yeah,
Taki Senior, thank you for joining us from Hamilton, New Jersey. Good to see you, my brother.
yeah,
Moses, come back in.
yeah. So look,
Or maybe Teddy
uh,
wanted to finish up his
yeah.
talk. Did you want to finish
Oh,
up your talk?
you wanted to finish, Daddy?
well, I'll let you take the floor, but I just
Okay.
wanted to
Okay.
just
Okay.
before I
Okay.
let you take the floor, just talked
Yeah,
about
go ahead. Yeah, go
how
ahead.
PTSD has also impacted our ability to learn in Liberia. I see a lot of young men and women, but 60% of our young men and women in Liberia are not. Most of them are not educated due to the fact that those parents who are supposed to rear a child and propel them to be successful young men and women are not cognizant of developmental issue and how it play a part in development, because those same adults were exposed to trauma and it has impacted our society. And if it's not addressed, it's going to continue in our society and it's going to be a generational issue. So there is a need to address mental health, and it
Absolutely.
starts now. It starts now. It's imperative. that we make this a priority. It has to be a priority within our schools and within our community. We have to address it. After you go, I'll give us some solutions and make some suggestions in hopes that it helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me piggyback on the PTSD we should talk about. And for the layman out there, when we speak of PTSD, there are a number of keywords I would like for you to take note of. The P stands for post, which means after. The T stands for traumatic. And a traumatic event could be witnessing a relative of yours committing suicide in your presence, seeing a relative of yours being killed in your presence, growing up in a home, the man you always refer to as dad raping you every night, growing up in a home as a child where your mom is emotionally and physically abused by your dad on a consistent basis. Like the guys who participated in the Civil War, those guys were in survival mode. They were faced with tragedies. People attacked them violently. They also attacked other people violently. They killed people and they saw other people being killed in their presence. So as a result of all of these things, when you experience that, that's why most people who come from countries affected by civil war and like some of the conditions that I just made reference to, they struggle with a form of PTSD, post-traumatic stress. The stress, which is what? Depression, the emotional problem. And the D stand for what? Disorder, which means psychological disturbance. So when you have people constantly looking over their shoulder, thinking that someone is after them, when a man cannot even look at his mom in the face because the way his mom was ill treated, or he just hits his dad because the way his dad treated his mom, and that man grows up with that kind of malice against his dad that makes it difficult for him to trust any adult, or seeing your sister refusing not to have relationship with men because she was repeatedly raped by her dad. All of these are symptoms of what? PTSD. Now, how do we treat it? Two ways: medication management and psychotherapy. The psychotherapy is like my brother Teddy does. He's a counselor, like me, counselor. We sit and talk to them. We run sessions. We teach them coping skills. And those who need to be on medication, we put them on medication to help them deal with the depression that comes. That's why the guys who come from the war front, they all go through acculturation, they go through an adjustment process because they are constantly on the look that someone, even take for example, like man, like Prince Johnson. If Prince Johnson is in an environment and firecracker goes off, Prince Johnson will take to his ease because why? He thinks that someone is after him. He's traumatized. All the guys who participated. Now, what make most of these guys to use drugs? They use drugs as what? Means of self-medicating to help them deal with that problem.
Coping.
So that's how they cope. They don't want to remember what is happening. When a man is under the influence of the substance, he does not recognize that he has a problem. Immediately he gets sober, he realizes the problem. What does he do? He goes right back to the drug dealer. That's the only coping mechanism the man has, which is indeed a negative mechanism. So for our sisters and brothers and all of them that need help, we need to have defined programs. That's why in mental health, when you have somebody who has emotional problem and the person is also drinking alcohol every day to pass out, When that man is diagnosed, that man will be given what we call dual diagnosis. The man will be treated for alcohol, and he will also be treated for what? His mental health problem. We do that simultaneously. It means that we do it together. If you don't do that, if you treat just one aspect of it, that man will continue to remain sick. All the boys that you call Zogo today, they are using the negative mechanism to deal with the stressors. Those guys fought war. Some of them lost their parents, and they found themselves in a society where they have no jobs. Nobody cares about them. That's why the guys are sleeping on Center Street. Because when they get high, even when the man's in the cemetery, he's thinking that he's in a five-star hotel. The man doesn't recognize that he's in a cemetery. That's why I'm sure Teddy and I will agree on that. We need to have a defined program for these people. Mental health is nothing to joke with.
Okay, so let's. I think we've covered a lot of mental health now.
Yeah.
Let's strike the point, and that's where I was taking us.
Yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
What are some of the things that we can do as a society collectively? Because the promo did say that. This is, I mean, we always say the government, but I'm not going to leave it all to the government now. I'm going to look at the three branches of government, but at the same time, I want to look at civil society, the church, all of the different institutions, the family, the community, and all of that. What are some of the things we should put in place? And I'll go to a video before
Yeah.
answer that.
Yes.
Because the government has put something in place.
Yeah, do that,
And
Volcano.
what the government has put in place is to go around the community and nab these folks from their little hidehouse
And truck them, right?
and truck them to unknown destinations. And the people wondering where the heck they carry me. Are we going to Bella Yala? Or are they going to? I already can't find food yet, and they carry me somewhere where they able to feed the one in Maria Central Prison. Where they carrying us? So you got the ERU, the LDEA, and all these folks coming around and collecting folks. So let me just share this clip quick as we go along the conversation. So this is one of the ways the government is bringing coping mechanism to the problem.
Enforcement officers have come to get us to some disadvantaged youth. I think you can see in the truck there where the guys have come to get some of these disadvantaged youth on the street. All right, there is happening here on Benson Street. All right. According to them, they are on a special operation to get some of the disadvantaged youth from the street. Opposite the truck, here is their pickup and other vehicles that they are using to carry on this operation. All right, the group here today, especially from the side of the Liberia Just Enforcement Agency, they are in a very good number. And they are getting some good number of the disadvantaged youth. You can see them on the truck. And I just got an intake that this operation continue, but the person that's heading this operation, she has refused to talk to me except I follow them at the office. But you keep following as we bring to you the last happening here from Benson Street. My name is Fasu M. Gonzo, bringing you this live broadcast here on Benson Street. All right. I think somebody took photo that they are dissatisfied with. Yeah. Somebody took photo that they are dissatisfied with. So they are asking the person to. Yeah, very free to talk to person. Where are those that they normally buy the drugs from or buy the substance from. Okay, yeah, where those guys that they normally buy the drugs from, who are those that normally train the drugs around? Okay, that remain a question that remain unanswered. That remain a question that remain unanswered. Uh, the guys are the DA officers. They are in a very good number.
So, gentlemen, I'm trying to get my
Yeah.
yeah. So you can see here, and I thought to go for just that abbreviated version. You can see here that this is the way the government is going to deal with mental health
Yeah.
and drug abuse and what we consider our young population of at-risk youth considered to be Zogos by nabbing them from their little hideouts around the capital and its surroundings. But where are they taking them? Have they created facilities like people who, guys who are recidivist, they go and then they come back out and then, but you don't have a facility to put these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just truck them to a known destination. Do you think this is the approach? What should government be doing in the first place to create a very sound program funded, well funded by government, goodwill ambassadors, and the international community, corrupt free, bureaucratic free, that will help our young people in ways? Because this is not the, the absolute right approach. Because those guys will come right back. they, and they're asking them who you're buying the drugs from. They may not tell you who they're buying the drugs from. That's not coming out of them. You can beat them all day. They will not tell you. So let's hear from Teddy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Teddy.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, Volcano. I work with this city forensic population, and part of my job to ensure that we are alleviating recidivism. Right, we see people coming out of prison getting mental health treatment, psychosocial treatment, and psychopharmacological treatment, but with lack of compliance and inadherence to treatment, they are ending up right back in jail,
Yeah.
recidivists, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal here, is to mitigate that or alleviate that. So I have a guy that I worked with in the past, and he grew at the age of 5. He was raped by 5 of his stepfathers. He's 73 years old now. He's in one of my program, and I met with him. There's a thing in the black community that there's a stigma with mental health. And there is a thing in therapy called male and male diet, female and female diet in counseling. Most men are not open to talk about mental health. Most men are not open to talking to another female about mental health.
Right.
But in order to save Liberia, in order to save our contemporary society, in order to save young men and women, I don't think that approach is the right approach. I'll tell you, there's a stigma on mental health in Liberia. It has been going on for a very, very long time. I believe that the best way to start the treatment process is building legitimacy around mental health in our community. Building legitimacy from a policy standpoint. We want to build legitimacy. We want to petition lawmakers to build legitimacy around mental health. And it start within the community. We want to start educating our people about oppression and how trauma may present, how a person who has been traumatized, what behavior they're going to exhibit, how a person who's been through years of political violence and disease, Ebola crisis, the Ebola, very long time, it impacted our community as well. We want to start building legitimacy around mental health, educate our people about oppression, trauma. Hey, a person who has been exposed to trauma will hallucinate, will have long-lasting hallucination, will have defiant behavior, with use substance abuse to cope with that. We educate our people on how the precipitating factor of psychological distress and what causes psychopathology, educating them on mental health. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel to have emotional disturbance. It's okay to have psychological disturbance. It's okay, but there are treatment in place. Another approach is working on reducing the treatment gap, right? There is an increasing number of people who need the services, and there's a paucity in service availability. A lot of people need the services. Services are not available. Services are not available. We have to reduce the treatment gap. Another approach again is taking a therapeutic approach as opposed to re-traumatizing those people,
Okay,
right?
this will be a classic example. You raise
Yeah.
these guys and
Mhm.
taking
Yeah.
them to a known destination with
Yep.
Re-traumatizing them.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. Taking a therapeutic approach as opposed to re-traumatizing them. Those people have been conditioned and learned and believe that being aggressive and stealing and using substance is the way to deal with the trauma. No, we have to change that. We have to counter change that. We have to change that belief. We have to alter the perception of a trauma. Some people say, okay, you know what, this person, I've heard that before. I was in Liberia, I heard a person say, hey, this guy is just fooling around. He fooling around. We were all exposed to the wall. And why is he behaving that way? That is counter-transferential emotions. We don't do that. We have to show empathy. We have to listen. We have to be non-judgmental. We have to create peer support and
Because
take a trauma.
everyone does not have the same stamina. Everyone does not have the same approach in dealing with the same
Yes,
issue. Both of
yes.
us can experience the same thing, but I could react differently.
Trauma presents differently in everybody. So we have
Absolutely.
to take a solution focused approach, trauma informed approach to assist this population, and also implementation of mental health gap program. Right, there was one initiated by WHO in the past to train primary care worker on mental health, on understanding the stigma of mental health, understanding mental health treatment, understanding diagnosis, and understanding the different theoretical approach to treating mental health, educating our healthcare provider, also creating a safe space for consultation. A lot of people with mental health are not open and free to discuss the mental health because we're not ensuring them confidentiality. We have to build a system around that. We have to create interventions that improve people's attitude about mental health. If we do that, we're going to create a safe space for those people to talk about their trauma. If we do that, we're going to create a safe space like people like Decanty, a 6-year-old girl who was raped by a 22-year-old male, to talk about her trauma. There are a lot of different theoretical approaches that can be used in the process, but we also have to teach mental health literacy in our schools, right? We need people there to accommodate those students who did not appropriately navigate through those developmental stages, because if you don't, you're going to regress and be fixated on one stage, and that impedes your ability to learn. So we have to treat mental health literacy within our school, emotional support, and take therapeutic approaches that would treat people. Motivational interviewing, good for substance abuse, is one of the most proverbial approach to treating and facilitating change in substance abuse client. DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, is for interpersonal conflict. A lot of our young men and women have interpersonal conflicts. Substance abuse disorder, very popular among our population in Liberia right now. EMDR, right? Eye movement desensitization, reprocessing. It's a psychological technique used to treat people with trauma, right? Talk about the past, what happened in the past. You were raped by your dad. You saw your dad get killed. Let's talk about that. Let's process those issues. Where are you now? We're in the present. What is going on in your life positively? Let's talk about the positive things that's going on in your life and focus on the future. Like I said, trauma damages your hippocampus, and that can be reversed with treatment. That can be reversed. CBT is another technique. It's cognitive behavior therapy. It helps alter your perception. We can
Please.
also counter conditioning, changing your perspective about that trauma. When people are exposed to trauma, the only thing that causes psychopathology is your perception of that trauma. And everybody perceives that trauma differently. Some people live a successful life, and some people have flashbacks for years and years and years and years. But with treatment and exposure to treatment, we can build a better society, Volcano. If we cannot address mental health, our people are going to elect those people that oppress them for so many years and say, guess what? You killed my mom, you killed my pop, I will vote for you. That's trauma. That's trauma. That is trauma. That is trauma right there. That is trauma. That is group of people who seeking approbation from warlords, lauding people as influencers and great leaders, those people who oppressed you and abused you for so many years. Those are symptoms of PTSD. But we can reverse that. We
Definitely.
can reverse that.
Thank you. Let me
We can
quickly,
And
reverse that.
Moses, let me
Mhm.
quickly go to
Sure.
intermission.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're at the intermission right now. We're here tonight discussing the crisis of mental health in Liberia, particularly in our youthful population. And you know, when we define youth in Liberia, we're talking about people already 45 years old.
Yeah.
But the guy is a youth because he didn't even do anything with his adult life.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
develop the skills. He's of no value to himself, to his family, to his community, to his nation, because the nation did not put in the mechanisms to give this guy the opportunity to be developed. And so he's still in that youthful population. So we're talking here about how we can collectively as a country, we're moving toward 2023 elections, and none of these guys are putting this on the agenda. The politicians, all they want to talk about, will increase the free education. We'll build the hospitals. We'll build the roads. But those things are, they're insignificant if we don't have things in
A
the
stable mind.
place that
Yeah.
will address
Stable mind.
young people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, we will be opening the lines momentarily, but we want to encourage you to join us here tonight. Bennett O'Connor, we say thank you so much for coming here in the issues room. We also want to recognize my sister, my Baptist sister, my church sister, Glenda Juniors. We say thank you for joining us here tonight. Uh, and also, I saw someone here who appear to have shown up here. Amy Bachu, you've been gone for a while. It's good to see you again. Come back to the issues room, please. I know honestly, we're gonna have a show here.
Well,
Our,
all our
our
people, eh?
yeah, our people are so confused now.
Yeah.
You go so they're there. Our Facebook fans now, our viewers, our viewership, our supporters, our fans, they're all over the place. You go to Spoon Talk, they're there. You go to one man show, they're there. You go to two man show, they're there. So sometimes now they have competing viewership
Yeah.
priorities.
Too many shows.
Yeah. So too many things. But if you want the good talk, if you want the good conversation, come to the issues room. This is where we discuss the things that matter, and we don't take this stuff for play. This is real. This is real television, and we put in all our professionalism in the conversation, our intelligence, our expertise, our research. We do a lot of work behind the scene to come here and just engage you, our viewers. And so we say thank you for joining us. Manko Casey, good to see you here, my brother. Continue to share the link. Moses?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Volcano, I would like to begin on by talking about the video that you shared. And like Terry said, the approach by our people, it sends two messages.
Yeah.
First is illiteracy. We do not know the problem we have. And as a result, we do not even know how to formulate a
Mhm.
strategy for resolving the problem. How do you
Quickly,
outreach?
Moses.
Yeah.
Quickly. Ben O'Connor is asking the appropriate age range for youth. I thought it's 25 to 35.
Yeah. Well, in the Western world, when
Uh-huh.
we speak of youth, we're talking about individuals between the ages of 15 and 25.
Oh, 15 and 25. Okay.
Yeah. As per Liberian standard, like you said, when we
Uh-huh.
speak of youth, we're talking about individuals between 15, 35, all the way to 40. The
So
male,
15,
the
15
male, the male
wouldn't
will
be
call himself youth when the man's almost approaching his 45 or 46.
okay. So
Look at
I
the
was thinking, I
political
was
party.
thinking,
Look at the youth wing.
but I was thinking that 15 would be a teenager, not a
No,
youth per se.
it's between. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
between
Anyone
15 to
from 15
25.
to
Okay.
25 in the
15 to
Western
25.
world, that
Yeah.
person
All right.
falls in the
Okay.
category.
He says, Bennett says that the standard by the United Nations is 15 to 24.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Between
so 25. Yeah, so that's in
yeah,
the ballpark.
yeah,
Okay.
it falls in there. So, coming back to what I was saying, the approach by our political leaders, the Drug Enforcement Agency, is very primitive. It's impulsive. Someone just woke up in the morning. You say, "Hey, you take the trucks down the street and get it." Now, the question that you ask Volcano, where are you taking them? To warehouse them?
But Moses, let me stop you there. You're coming. Let me put this part to it. You see the man in our truck? The man can made the neighbor sleep. They're picking that got knives and things. Let me give you a classic example of GSA Road. That GSA Junction. I
Yeah.
mean, by 6 o'clock, the man at 3 will just come there acting like, you know
So
how
that
you know,
no
you
go
know when
zoo,
it,
eh?
you know when the hyena is trying to corner an antelope.
Yeah.
I let him pay attention to hey, we taking different direction. Before you make up a amount of 3 minutes around you, they're juking the knife on your side. Give me everything you got.
Wow.
I was in
Yeah.
Liberia to bury my mother 2017. They stabbed this man. They stabbed him right here in his neck.
Whew.
A
Damn,
man,
sad man.
$15 bonanza phone from this poor man who is a
Yeah.
watchman for one
Yeah.
of the schools on the GSA road. That's why when the LDEA go and raid and sometimes I can feel for them because in the day you don't see them, but at night they're terrorizing the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They terrorize, even though it's not the right approach.
Yeah.
Absolute truth. These guys are still dangerous to society, and that's why we're
Absolutely.
having this conversation tonight.
Hmm.
A lot of
And
people have been,
and
I mean, hurt, badly. And so imagine
Yeah.
their depression, their mental health
mhm,
puts those innocent people in a state of depression, in
mhm,
a state of mental health, in a state of PTSD. Because when you are minding your business, going about, you're younger, you're coming from school or you're coming from work, 6, 7 in the evening, they corner you and they take all your little belongings. That
mhm.
is traumatizing as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and Volcano, that's why Teddy and I are saying that the problem of mental health, the problem of addiction in Liberia, these are serious problems. These are national crises.
Hmm.
Studies have shown over the year that there's a strong correlation between crime and addiction.
Hmm.
The men who are stabbing people, grabbing bags here and there, you know why they're doing that? They want to go to the ghetto.
That's the way of survival, and that's the way
That's,
of
that's the only thing they know.
fueling the
Their habit,
Mhm.
you know. So now, how do we solve this
And
problem?
Teddy said something. They don't
Yeah.
have the ability to discern
No,
between
they
good and
don't.
bad. They don't have the ability to process.
No,
Oh, I'm hurting somebody
no.
who is not even responsible for my situation,
Yeah.
but they're hurting other people.
Yeah,
And
So,
that part of the brain that's responsible to process that,
mhm,
the hippocampus has been damaged.
yeah. So as a
Completely.
country, like Teddy was saying, we don't have to shame these people. You take them, you put them in the truck, you're shaming them.
Yeah.
When you shame people continuously, that's why in mental health, we always advise people do not bully. When you put someone down continuously, take for example, for Canada, you come home, you tell your son that, hey, you're a failure, you're a failure, you're a failure. He's going to grow up internalizing that. And then it will get to a point your son will feel what? That, well, he cannot try because his dad say he's a failure. He's going to feel hopeless. And that can lead to other bigger problems. That's why when you take these people and throw them in the truck, they're going to get to a point that they are of no essence to society. They are worthless. They are nobody. The only thing they know is criminality, drug use, and that would be their life. Now, how do we solve this problem? We have the statistics are so much out there. We know this is a national crisis. As a government, we need to invest into this. We need to create policies on mental health. We need to put into place programs for addiction counseling. We need to create mental health services across the country. And Volcano, you and I know that is no chicken change.
$30,000.
Do you know what it means to hire me to go to Liberia as a counselor? How much you going to pay me? How much will somebody pay me to be a counselor? $500 a month? So how do I pay my mortgage in America? You need to hire psychiatrists, psychologists, clinical social worker, mental health specialists. You're talking about millions of dollars just on administrative costs. Like the guys who are addicted to the opioid, those who need to be in methadone clinic, those who need to be detox. That's the medication. And when I checked the last time, you know how much our government invested for mental health in this 2022 budget? $30,000.
And then
$30,000.
and then 1 million for youth program.
Yeah, $1 million for youth program.
$30,000 for
Yeah.
mental health.
But the
mental health-
underlying issue,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Moses, you're coming. And when
Yeah.
mental health is the crisis,
Yes.
yeah, you're not addressing the underlying
No,
issue.
it's
no.
the crisis.
30,000. The three of us on
And
this.
30,000 can't even pay a direct care staff.
What are you talking
Direct
about?
care staff who going to just provide the initial care for
The
that.
hands-on. The
Yeah,
hands-on.
hands-on. That's what I'm saying. The
Hands-on.
initial care.
Monitoring these people, making sure that they do what they're supposed to do.
That's one
But-
staff salary.
Yeah.
If you think about
Pay-
it in the
Pay
American
Mr.
context.
Brown. Pay Mr. Brown. Pay me. Pay Volcano Shelton. When you do the math, you're talking to close to $500,000 on an annual basis. Just 3 persons. And you put what? $30,000 aside to train to help people who have mental health problems. It looks like
Moses, I
you are insensitive. Yeah.
want to quickly remind you,
Mhm.
we had the Catherine Mills Rehabilitation Center.
Yeah.
That's where we are, is in our neighborhood. That's why that place is called rehab.
Yeah.
That was back when I was small growing up. We used to call it Crazy Camp, the nickname, but it was the Catherine's Mill Rehabilitation Center.
Yeah.
And that was the only institution in the country that was catering for people with what we consider back then the crazy people, which is mental health,
Yeah.
and that institution is no more. What we know is just a small little facility on the Dupo Road,
My man.
right
Yeah.
behind the graveyard.
Mhm.
That is a wing of the John F. Kennedy Medical Center. A small place. Don't have the capacity to even serve 50 people. So you're talking 300,000 people.
Yeah, 300,000.
You built a 14 military hospital for sick people, but you have a sick population
Yeah,
of young
sick
people who are really, really sick.
People are sick. People are
And
sick.
you're not focusing on it because why? They are your voters. Let's keep them confused. Let's keep them in the mental health state of mind. When it's time for elections, we'll put t-shirts on them. We'll give them little, handout here, and we'll take them to the line, and they will stand like zombies, and they will vote for us.
Yeah. And in
We'll
fact,
buy 6
Volcano,
years more, and we'll do nothing for them.
not a country of Volcano. Last night you and I were talking about this, right? Just do the math.
Mhm.
The Christmas bonus that Mr. Weir gives them on an annual basis, right? We are told that they give them like what, $5,000 every
I'm
Christmas.
not sure, but let's
Yes,
just say,
they
let,
did that in,
listen,
in past years,
yeah,
5,000 now,
but
right?
let's just say the 5,000 that was promised them by Finder Bundle. And we said only 10,000 people
Yeah,
show up.
yeah, so
10,000. We didn't even
yeah,
say plenty of
yeah.
people because
So
BDC, they were going to BDC, right?
yeah,
We're not going to let,
and
listen,
we said
listen,
10,000 people,
I'm
right?
coming, I'm coming.
Yeah,
They were going to BDC,
yeah.
and BDC not going to let them swarm the barrier with 25 to 50,000 people. They're not sports complex here, right?
No,
So
no.
maybe 10,000 people were able to go
To
into the
enter
night
there.
and get seen. And let's just say $5,000 is 20,000 liberty. I mean
No,
20
it's
US
20
dollars.
US dollars.
20 US dollars I meant to say.
That's
Do the math.
200,000 right there.
Do the math. So the
That is
handle you giving to these people,
$200,000 right there.
the handle you giving to these people is more than what you put in the
Design a
budget.
program. Yeah, design a program for the
You
people.
30,000 in the budget, but
Mhm.
if you're giving each person 20 US
Yeah.
to buy the favor for them to vote for you, you probably in the tune of $200,000,
200,000 right there.
right?
Hmm.
So
And then you're giving them beggar rights,
there's
though.
a stock disparity here.
Yeah, giving them beggar rights, too. So you
Welcome,
see,
Steam Bungie. Good to have you here with us tonight.
so you see how our people don't do the math because they act on their whims. And leaders do not act on their whims in making national decisions. You sit down, you figure out, you identify the problem, then you rationalize the implication this problem is having on your country. Like the Teddy said, hike in crime. You said the volcano, hike in crime. The place has become fearful. People can hardly move around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told that after 7 o'clock, you have to be indoor.
But Moses,
Yes.
do you know that I was traumatized? Just the fact that I went to bury my mother
Yeah.
on the night of the wakekeeping. My cousins told me, say, you want to urinate, you can't go outside by yourself.
Can you
Because
imagine?
we're in a school. We had the wakekeeping in the school.
Yeah.
All the men you see her come in, drink coffee and eat a man biscuit. There's plenty of zogo there and criminal around here. And they know you from America. You shining like little men will kill you. So be careful. Be careful when you're ready to go. Let all know.
Let us
you
know.
carry
Yeah. Wow.
That's not bad. And that same night was the night that they stabbed that man.
Yeah, man.
They stabbed the man was crying. Said, look at how they just had me for nothing for the bonanza phone. Blood everywhere, my man.
Yeah, man.
Poor wash man. Just for his phone.
So
Look at what they did for. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Look at what they did for the stampede.
Yeah. Okay.
In
In
Newtown.
Newtown. Mm-hmm.
Because they felt that the worshippers carry money to give to the church.
Yeah.
So it was a place that they wanted to go. So when people are having occasions like wake keeping,
Mhm.
they got to get soldiers or police officers to man that environment.
Yeah.
Just to protect them. The people that are coming and going, once you get there, you better stay on the Razzling Jacob. If you know the song, the Razzling Jacob, day is breaking. You got to wait until day breaks.
Yeah.
That's the old Tyrus song.
Yeah, the old song, wake keeping song, Razzling Jacob.
Yeah.
Day is breaking, right? You
Yeah.
got to wait, but you can't come and say you won't leave 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock. Anything happens to you on your own. But that's the kind of society.
Yeah.
So this is a serious matter,
Mhm.
you know. So Moses,
Yeah.
I will post the number for us to open the line while you continue.
Yeah.
Again,
Post
we
the
say,
number. Yeah.
welcome to Steam Bungate. You are right. The country is facing PTSD. Mapuho, Finda, she considered herself the rescue mother. She go around giving money and food. We want to encourage all of you to continue to share the number, share the link as well, so that folks can call in tonight. The number to call is 404-272-2808. 404-272-2808. Call and be a part of the conversation. What is your take? Some of you here tonight work in the human services field. What's your experience? We'd like to share with you. What do you know when you go to Liberia? How pervasive is the situation with mental health in the country. Many of you would think, for those of you who have not gone, would not understand the magnitude of this situation, but it's very serious, and that's why we thought to have this conversation. And we're going to be having a series of this conversation because it has a correlation with our voting population,
Of course.
how they'll vote. This is serious matter, and we're not going to sit here for some kind of buffoon or some kind of warlord or some kind of, you know, corrupt human being who has seized everything for themselves to continue to lead our country or to inherit the leadership of our country for another 6 years. So call 404-272-2808. We're here to entertain your comments and thoughts. Moses.
Yeah, and quickly, let me just say that, like Teddy was saying, this problem, there has to be a national approach. We need to put in place policies that will clearly address this problem. We also we need laws that would really make the sale and importation of drugs in Liberia, a serious crime. If the laws are on the book, then those laws need to be enforced to the letter.
Mhm.
Because there are too many bad people that are importing drugs into that country that are directly contributing to this problem. So those people need to be held accountable. We need to hold people accountable in our country.
Mhm.
And then another way forward, we need to focus on our youth
Mhm.
in the schools. Let us introduce counseling services,
Yeah.
mental health counseling services. Like, in the United States, they have behavioral specialists that go to schools to check on students. They have mental health counselors that go there to check on students. They also have clinical social workers in the school. When the kids come and they notice that the kid look what depressed, somebody is going to talk to that child and find out what is happening. And if it is established that someone is doing something funny, someone will be held liable. We need to make this a national priority.
So listen what Stan Bunge is saying here.
Mm.
How can the laws help when even the lawmakers are a part of the entire problem?
I mean, I agree
How are
with
they
you.
going to articulate rather the laws?
Yeah, I think let me let Teddy speak to that because she's absolutely right. Go ahead, Teddy.
So I'll pass it on to Volcano and come back later.
Okay. Yeah, for Kel.
Yeah, so like she was saying, or she's saying, right, rather, the lawmakers are not in the interest
My people just want
of
to eat
this
something.
population.
Yeah, man.
They are
The people,
not.
the people are only concerned about their pockets.
The only man I even heard mention mental health was Darius DeLong.
That was their loan.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So where are we?
Mental health.
Please call
$30,000 in the budget.
404-272-2808, 404-272-2808. You're here in the issues room. Volcano, Shelton, Moses, Sandy, and Teddy Brown. We're discussing the current mental health crisis in our country. 300,000 plus youth are in bad shape, are in peril. Let's put it that way.
They are
In
sick.
peril,
Yeah.
right?
But look,
And
let
there's
me
a lot of desolation going on here. People with no hope, people who have just given up and they feel that crime is the way of life. They gonna just leash on society. You know how the leash in the water when it stick on your skin
yeah.
and it stalks you?
Hmm.
That's what's gonna happen. And it's happening now. They're gonna leash on their communities, they're gonna leash on society, and it's not gonna be well. The other day we're here, Moses, I shared with you that our problem will take probably 20 years. And it means that we got to be like Rwanda, where
Yeah.
the leader is serious about business.
Yeah, committed to it.
Yes. 20 years for us to begin to see little semblance of change,
Mhm.
for our young people. You give
Absolutely.
free education, laudable, but in the context of free education, what is free if the man is not capacitated
Man's sake.
to go to school and learn? So you have 300,000 young people who are all over the country who have no desire, to leave the current state of condition because the mechanisms not put in place to address the current state of condition. And like we said, civil society has a part to play. The house, of legislature has a part to play. The school, curriculum,
churches.
school, all of
The churches.
the press, the media.
Everybody.
That's why we're doing our little portion here to have this conversation tonight. Hopefully, someone somewhere is listening. We didn't come here to talk politics, even though there is a, correlation between what we're talking about. Because if we don't align this with the politicings of the day, then of course we're not going to get some attention. And this is the nature. Somebody was saying Liberia has turned into the political stadium. Liberia is a political stadium. The spectator goes there to jeer the politicians, to zigwe and the zoning and just celebrate nonsense.
And Volcano, that's what they do to our people. They exploit these young people they call quote unquote Zogos. When they are having rallies, they troop them there and give them chicken change because they want to see numbers. When elections are coming, they go to the same people. Take advantage of them, exploit them politically for them to win elected positions. After election, they are done with them. We need a society that will focus, that will see the issue of addiction, the issue of mental health in Liberia as a national priority. A good portion of the country's national budget must be dedicated to this. And you don't have to do this all at the same time. You can do it gradually.
Yeah.
You can say, you know what? Let's build 2 good clinics in Montserrat. Hire the right kind of people. The people you want to hire, they don't have to be part of the CDC. They don't have to be part of Unity Party. You just want professional people to work for you and pay them well, so that the man doesn't have to worry whether there's food at home or not. He has a piece of job to do. Mr. Brown, if he has to relocate to Liberia to work, Mr. Brown knows he has a piece of job to do. He's going to serve his country. You pay him well, you take care of him, he's going full time to commit to serve the client population. You bring in the drugs, you bring in the counselors, you invest, you will see tremendous changes. And then on a gradual basis, you begin to expand. You start talking to international community for help. There's so much help out there.
Yeah, but
All
because
we
you
need
don't
to
put, if you don't put the mechanism in place,
Yeah.
if you don't demonstrate the attitude that you're going to do it as a government,
Yeah.
or devolute, use the devolution evolution approach,
Yeah.
devolute the responsibility to some nonprofit organization that is involved,
Yeah.
and say, hey, listen, let's sit around the table.
And
We
discuss.
want you to handle this. Our hands are not there. Put your budget together.
We'll fund you.
Samuel Tua will find the money.
Yeah.
Samuel Tua, you must give the money, right?
You're right.
Take your hands from there as government and let those people do the job with a professional repertoire to do the job.
Absolutely.
But everything the government hand must be in it.
Mhm.
And the hand in the government, in fact, surprisingly, Moses, and I like to call a spade a spade. They will be the one now to turn to mental health expert because
Oh, yeah, it'll be, it'll be.
they want to take the contract.
Yeah.
You see, when I tell them again, they got engineering company now building roads, and Sir Joseph now tend to rice importer. What type of country is this? The very people in government,
Yeah.
government wants to do something for the citizenry, they jump right in it and they act like they own institutions that are handling those things.
Yeah.
Look
The
at what
people
happened
were,
at the
they
National
were
Election-
a contract to
Yeah,
themselves.
so look at what happened at the National Elections Commission.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that government should devolute these responsibilities, this kind of sensitive matter, the government should recluse itself from it totally. Do
Totally.
not involve yourself and not allow any of your officials in government, whether in the three branches, because it's conflict of interest. It has a potential to fail when you involve
Absolutely.
these people, and let the experts do the work.
Mhm.
Teddy.
Just to add to that, Volcano, lawmakers are named some of the perpetrator of crime and abuse of our young men and women in Liberia.
That's true.
And they use their votes for their own self-aggrandizement.
Mhm.
And we have seen that for years. So my knowledge of democracy, I don't talk too much about politics, but I know what the underlying issues are in Liberia.
Absolutely.
It's that generational abuse. And we have to break that cycle for change. We have to reverse that today to create a better society. But what I know about democracy is a participatory society where every citizen counts. So if our lawmakers care about every citizen in our country, they will show political altruism. Political altruism is giving out your interest for the goodness of society. They are not trained enough to do that. There is lack of integrity, and they refuse to do that. So if we have to solicit funding from outside
That's it.
to save our young people, then it becomes our responsibility to do that. It becomes our responsibility to do that. Lawrence Kochberg, three developmental stages,
Oh, man.
pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Three people in a lifetime attain that. Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, and Nelson Mandela. What that is giving out post-conventional. Being post-conventional is giving out your personal interest for the greater good of society. And our people are lacking that. Our government officials are lacking the knowledge to govern society.
Mhm.
And it has impacted our people for so many years. And we have to solicit funding from outside. We have to leave and dedicate our time and passion to saving our young men and women in Liberia. It's not on government. They are not going to do it. But we're going to hold them accountable to put in place policy that regulate mental health. Ensure that there are mental health treatment in our schools. Ensure there are mental health treatment in the community, and our people get the treatment that they need.
They need, yeah.
I come from a person-centered approach. A person-centered approach. Carl Rogers. I believe walking within, understanding a person's trauma. I separate behavior from an individual. I believe that we're all good people, but people have bad behavior.
Yeah.
So we can focus on each and every citizen in our country, young men and women who has been exposed to trauma and substance abuse, and go in there and take our clinical knowledge and change society.
Absolutely.
And that's how it's going to happen. We're not going to depend on government to do that. We're going to petition government to make the right decision regarding our young men and women.
I'd like to encourage folks to call here tonight. This is a very, very, very important topic. Don't be there in the corner and scared to talk. I know it's election year. Some of you are
Yeah, this
supporting
is
your
about your country.
what you call it,
Politician.
political parties and what have you. But this is national. And here's the disconnect from my perspective.
Yeah.
A nation that has gone through a civil war
Mhm.
that devastated the nation. It's human capital, it's infrastructure,
Yeah.
it's rule of law, it's systems, it's culture. Every facet of the country touched by a senseless, fratricidal civil war.
Yeah.
And we come in and do not address the underlying factor. And we leave it and we're building fanfare because we want to showcase that, oh, we have recovered from the war. No, you haven't recovered from the war. You still lack reconciliation. You still have divisiveness that is across all sectors in the country. You have a disenfranchised population. There's so much lack of attention to a greater portion of society. No programs in place to address their livelihood, their condition. But you got a few young men who the other day couldn't even afford pairs of shoes. They are burying the mothers in mausoleum at the expense of the people, monies that they cannot work for in 5 years and attained by Liberian standard. And even some of us who are in America who have at least decent job cannot even do what they've done in Liberia. For the last 20 years we've worked here, 25 years we've worked here. And you see all of this and you're pretending that Liberia is peaceful, that Liberia is developing, that Liberia is progressing. How can Liberia progress when there's a lack of the rule of law? How can Liberia be considered progressive because we in the diaspora taking our hard-earned money and we go there, we buy land, the land we're fighting for it, we win the land, put a foundation, the bill house, put fence around it, and you say now that development.
Then it may carry the code, eh?
But the very house that you and I are building, we dare sleep in it because if we don't put the high fence, if we don't put a generator, if we don't put a CCTV as by George Weah, if we don't have security, if we don't have all of these things in place, then we just wasted
all our money.
And I'm putting these points out here today so that people can understand that Liberia has not made progress since the Civil War. But what bothers me, that's why when I mention the name Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I'm mentioning the name Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. For 12 years, Ellen had enough contacts to address some of the cardinal issues in the country. Instead, she focused on big salaries, people making $30,000. Today, some of these people, we don't even know what they did with the money. They're now behind Paul Omen Bwaka. Some of them from the Ellen camp, we got to feed the Unity Party people. And sometimes when I see them, when I go to my roof, I'll be wondering what the guy did with all the money just the other day here. What did he do with it? And we're going to go back to that vicious circle. We're going to continue to reverberate in the same location as a country. And people think that this is development. People think that we have arrived. People think that we're making progress. We're not. And I thought to make us to understand this, that the problem is there, is seated, and it has to be uprooted and replaced with something that will bring the change our country is yearning for. And our country is not changed by development. Our country is not changed by infrastructure. Our country is not changed by the super highways and the bridges. Our country is changed when our human capital is developed, is seen, is intellectual, is competent, is capable to be able to traverse the world and do well. And thank God that some of us were privileged to come to this country with the little we have learned and the culture we were developed under, the upbringing, that we're able to come here to thrive. But we want to go back. We don't want to stay here and contribute always to this society. Oh, thank God America has done well for you and I, Teddy and Moses, right? But we want to go and give back. Thomas Awaji wants to go and give back. Alvin Peno wants to go in. Steinbonge has a foundation in Liberia. She wants to go and give back. But when the system is fighting you, when the system in your own country that should be embracing and opening up to you is marginalizing your effort and cherry picking because you're not aligned with the political
I don't know you.
environment, the powers of the day, that is frustrating. And I'm now having mental health. You understand me? I'm not having mental health because I cannot go to my country when I have the time now, the ability now, the experience now, the maturity now to contribute. And you say that we are going forward. We're not. We're not going forward, Moses. And I wanted to put
Yeah.
this out there.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say something quickly to what you said earlier, right? People put up all these beautiful structures. Uh, what good is it to put up all these beautiful
Mhm.
structures when you feel so insecure to even walk around your own house because someone is going to come and attack you after 7 o'clock?
Fine.
It just defeats the whole purpose, right, Mr. Brown?
Yes,
Yeah, let me
correct.
just give it to you there, Mr. Brown. Go ahead.
So before I add to that, so the people who are so society should be are obliged. The citizens are obliged to hold lawmakers accountable, but they cannot because they are so subservient
Yes.
to their lawmakers,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And because of that, and it's just a direct effect of those people being mentally incapacitated
Yeah.
and long lasting trauma. How do you go back home to develop when you're going to come home
Yeah.
and you're looking over your shoulders?
Yeah. You know,
We were all directly or indirectly impacted by the war, right?
yeah.
And we see the need for treatment. How do we go home if our lawmakers who have been elected to govern society are the perpetrator of violence,
Yes.
theft, crime, survival sex, sexual violence, incest in our country? You know, we have to admit to powerlessness. And at this point, we are powerless. And there is a need to fight
So
to change our society. And we have to address mental health.
I
We
agree.
have to. It's imperative.
It is.
Imperative.
It is, Teddy.
Imperative.
It is. I agree with you 100%.
And let me just quickly. I think you're having a connectivity problem.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'll bring.
Yeah,
I'll
but
use
go
your
ahead.
phone for
Yeah.
a little bit. Let me
Yeah.
encourage Moses. Moses, my man Steve Bully, you got to call. The number is posted at 404-272-2808. Thanks for coming through here tonight. We'd like to hear from you. Uh, um, this is great conversation. So please call and contribute here. But again, Moses, this is about our country. This is about the young people. We have the time yet to do something. We have the time yet. Look at the pace at which people are dying. Nothing is promised. We're
Man.
going to lose some of our well educated people, our skilled people, who should be now putting a plethora of different, uh, what you would call support in place, whether be it resources of finance, skill set, and all of these things. We don't have time in our favor. Liberia is 200 years of existence, 175 of independence. Look at Monrovia. Look at the condition. They take one old truck and they throw it beginning inside. They say the LDEA. Look at how they look. They just said low high already. The men say high, but they're going to collect the beginning. They say the beginning in the high man. Now, be
Yeah.
Moses, we're
Yeah.
losing our own time.
Yeah.
We don't have the time.
So,
We don't have the time.
you know,
Steve, thank you, man, for listening and calling in here tonight. Good to hear from you, my brother. Welcome to the Issues Room.
Yeah, thank you. Happy New Year to you, Moses, and your guest tonight. And I
Yeah.
want to say Happy New Year to all the listeners and the viewers as well.
yeah.
Thank
So,
Thank you,
I
Steve.
don't know how early or how late you joined the conversation, but listen, man, we here discussing the mental health crisis in Liberia. You know what drove us here the other day? The national government through the LDEA, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, took to the streets in one of the old trucks and went around the Benson Street area. Went to the beginning holler and gathered them, some of them with no shirt on, and just threw them in the truck. Where are they taking them? Is that the approach that government should use to address mental health in the country, wayward youth, Zogos, at-risk youth? From your expertise, you work in the field, you exposed to some of the things that should be done. We've covered some of them, but we'd like to hear from you, from your expert opinion, Steve.
Thank you. If I hadn't called, I was afraid that I'll be hearing content. Once you call my name, you say I should call you. I gotta do it. I gotta
Thank
follow.
you.
Yeah, I gotta follow Mended.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
I think this is an interesting conversation, and I think this is what some of our conversations need to be tailored towards. In my experience, what I'm sensing is we have a bigger problem, and I think I've said it before. I've written it. This could be the next pandemic we will be faced with in our country. Mind you,
And Steve, not to cut you off, it's already a pandemic. It's a serious crisis. 300,000 youth, and the numbers claiming it's not reducing. And this, and the fear here, this correlates with our elections, because these are the people who are going to stay in the line and
Yeah.
give to
most
the
definitely,
wrong people. Go ahead.
most definitely so. I would have to agree with you that we're entering that phase. The reason we haven't declared it yet, maybe to the word as a pandemic, and we still joking with it, is because the ripple effect have not really been noticed and sensed. And when some of us start to talk about these things, we're not talking about it for us, for our children, or for you, for Moses, or for anybody else that's maybe past the age 30, 45, whatever it is. We're talking for the next generation. Now, we've crossed the stage of just substance abuse. We have come to the stage as a nation wherein we are dealing with something we call dual diagnosis. In other words, people are having mental health issues and they have addiction issues. Let me tell you something. One of the people that are very hard to deal with, one of the people that you cannot easily care for, are people who are faced with mental health addiction issues, because they will do anything to maintain and sustain that habit and that behavior. They will even sell their clothes. They can even contract to kill somebody for $5 or $10.
Yeah.
You need to go ahead and get that money to go and buy drugs to sustain that habit. So there is a serious problem. When I listen to politicians, I hear them saying, "Oh, we need to get psychosocial counseling," and this one. Let me tell you something.
And they're just
At this
using
point,
they're just using the word. We didn't even know what
exactly,
it
very,
means.
very ignorantly.
Yeah.
At this point, we've passed that stage of just psychosocial counseling. I've been following. I follow the trend almost every day. I get report from Liberia on the increase of Zogos or whatever it is in our community and our nation at large. Can you imagine? And this is not just that we can see.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Almost all of the counties, there's an increase of Zogos on a daily basis in almost all of the counties. Imagine that. So what I'm saying in essence is we also need to start looking for something where professionals can come in and handle this thing. Because we need to introduce something we call the MAT. MAT stands for medical assisted treatment. In other words, you will have the therapy, but you have to have medicine or medication.
Yeah.
So with the cravings, the urges,
Mm-hmm.
and the addictive behavior to some extent. Let me tell you something. If anybody thinks this is a joke and you want to pass around play it, your nephew, your child, your uncle, daughter, your siblings, your future in-laws could be the next victim of Zogos, because they are introducing drugs now to the small children in high school. So this is a serious national crisis. This is a serious problem that we cannot politicize. It must be done at the national level. What I will say to you is this: in all honesty, this is not mutually exclusive to the we-are-led government.
No, absolutely not.
Exactly. Neither to the Ellen-led government or to the Chancellor-led government.
It's an age-old problem.
From the DDD program. You can't have people have 14 years of civil war and you decide to introduce rehabilitation. They made two big mistakes. First of all, the time. The time was very short. Somebody can go through that kind of time of civil war, 14 years, and you only gave them 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days of rehabilitation. It's small. Let me say it now like English. That time too small. Second of all, The therapy they were providing for the people, they did not provide it in the cultural context. There is no way you can provide any kind of therapy to be successful in the absence of the consideration of cultural context. In other words, if my Oma all the way in Popala Lofa country does not understand the American English, and she got phobia for white people because she's not used to seeing white people a day. When you take some kind of white girl that is 18 years old, exactly for college, 22, 21, 25, to go talk to her, she will not understand the therapy that is being provided to her. So what they needed to do was essentially to get Liberians who know what they are doing, train other Liberians so that they can provide counseling in the context of our culture so our people can understand. So this is the problem we have at hand. The only people that can solve it, let me tell you the truth today, will be the political leaders. They must divert money. They must invest into it. They must ensure that it is done. If they do not do that, we are going nowhere. Nothing will be solved. Nothing will happen. Our people will continue to suffer. Let me say this to you on the phone.
Hold 1 second. Let me put this caller in queue. The caller from Maryland, 9874. I'll come back to you. Let Steve end his thought quick. I'll come back to you, caller from Maryland. Steve?
And the issue of mental health is very expensive, the care. So if the Liberian government is serious, they need to provide the funding, get the professionals. It don't need to be me because I'm political. At the same time, I'm professional. I don't play like that. If they get the rightful funding to do the job, will volunteer to go and do the job. They will have to pay for it. They're not free. All I want to say, they need to get professionals, invest into it, and they must pay for the services.
And what Moses said, you can't come in. Moses said, what can you say? Give me $500. What do you do?
So Volcano, our rock can get a good work.
It's draining emotionally, psychologically, physically. So even take care of people who are faced with these things. Yeah. It is draining. So we must be compensated for the and the failures because you know what? The forward move of Liberia is dependent on us. Let me tell you today. Part of the reason we didn't qualify for the grant, you know why? Go check the report. The MCC scorecard. Go check the report. The American government say our human capacity, the index, is very, very low. My brother, we going nowhere yet.
Yeah.
Let them go pray in the church. Let them go to Juju, man. Let them go say, oh, they're passing crazy, the big clapping behind it. We're going nowhere until we address this issue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Great come.
Right.
I mean, you had to come. I told you had to come. Let's go to the caller quick from Maryland, 9874. Your name? Welcome to the Issues Room.
Yes, how you doing? My name is Armand.
Oh, Armand. Welcome,
yes, Armand, welcome.
How's everybody doing?
We're good, man.
Good.
All right. I don't know if anybody actually, called. Well, I'm gonna be the first one to actually say this, but I actually suffer from PTSD. But when you tell Liberians somebody has PTSD, they actually think you're insane or something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
I served in the Army for 21 years. Been to combat 5 times. I even got shot one time.
My man, thanks for your service to the country.
Thanks for your service, bro.
Thanks, Armand. Thanks, Armand. We appreciate you.
I have not experienced what you've gone through, so I commend you for serving our country. Thank you so much, my brother.
Appreciate it. So PTSD, I have it. I mean, it's so bad. I go to therapy. I do therapy. I take medication.
Yeah.
I have hobbies in place. I interact with different people that has a PTSD. Another thing that they don't understand about PTSD, you actually need help as far as the mental. What else? Mental. Your well-being. Your body.
Very critical.
And somebody said something the other day about, the guy who was just talking about, you can't blame it on the Liberian government. Well, actually, you can, because they was actually supposed to start the entire process. But even though the past government didn't do anything, this government could have did something, and just go from there. But the way I see things right now, it's hard. It's gonna take a long time for Liberia to move forward, because those little guys out there in the streets on drugs it is crazy. And I don't like to talk about it or brag. Every month I try to do my best to send some money so they can get something to eat. Because some of them, I seen a video. God, he was so sick, he died. They put him in a wheelbarrow and just threw his body in one of those buildings that was actually
Oh yeah.
destroyed during the war. They just threw his body in there. He didn't get no burial. They don't know if he have any like family, brothers and sisters. I mean, it's sad and it's getting bad. I don't know who's bringing the drugs in. Like I said, the other day they had $100 million worth of drugs. Still no investigation. But mental health is something serious. Like I said, I'm the first one to admit that I had nightmares. I mean, it was crazy. I didn't want to do anything. I was in the house. I was always paranoid. Matter of fact, every time I leave the house, I have to have my pistol with me to be safe.
See that?
PTSD caused me today that I don't drive cars. I have to drive in the SUV because during the time I was doing combat, I always sat in a higher, vehicle to see everything across, the way or whatever. PTSD, something serious.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you guys, it's something serious.
I want to thank you so much for
be
being bored, very bored to come out here and tell the world the struggle you've had and what you're doing in terms of development to live a fruitful life, because I'm sure you're a family man. I know you say you're married.
Oh yeah,
you have
yeah.
kids, and that in itself, if you were not doing what you're doing, you'll be paranoid of your family, your kids, and all that.
I would be one crazy angry dude.
Yeah, and that could create a big dysfunctionality in your children's future.
Yep.
So thank you, man.
So last thing I want to say, Liberians need to take this serious. And there's another thing. It's called fight or flight. Hey, that is something serious. I'm telling you, it's something serious. Fight or flight. Hey, if you could defeat that, hey, you can get rid of mental health. Like I said, I'm a living witness to it. I went through it for a long time, and I'm going to tell you, I hate to say this, but I was afraid to go and see to seek help because I was like,
that's the denial phase.
Right. Yeah,
exactly. I'm going to be all right, and nah, I was not all right. I used to party all the time. I was just drinking. I was just mad. I was just this angry dude. Absolutely. But once I started getting help, therapy, I did a whole 360. Now every day I hang out with my kids, my wife. I go exercise. I go fishing. I go swimming. I just do a whole bunch of stuff just to keep me busy and keep my mind off things. And slowly but slowly, hey, look at me now. I'm good. I'm gonna say I'm 100%. I'm good. And I before, when I first was actually active. But since I retired, once again, Uncle Sam, he been doing a great job taking good care of me. And the government, I'm telling you, it starts with the government. They got to do whatever they need to do to get rid of those guys off the street. Because I'm telling you, Haiti, that little Haiti?
Oh yeah. Haiti. What about gangs?
Gangs.
Yeah.
They got guns. They don't took up, man. It's crazy. So I hope that never happens to Liberia. I just want to say thank you for the time, and may God bless everybody, and Happy New Year.
Well, Amma, thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for being brave and comfortable and trusting this space to share your story. I also want to let you know that there is a culture in the military ethos, and not just a lot of military men and personnel talk about the trauma.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
This could be a catalyst to change.
Absolutely.
And your voice is going to be here, and it's going to effectuate change in our society and within our Liberian society, that our lawmakers should be held accountable. They should be held accountable. It starts from them to put in place policy to make change in Liberia. So thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much.
Let's go around the room quick. It's 8:49. We need to leave here at 9:00 on the dot. And so again, we want to go around the room. We'll start with Teddy.
Our guest.
To throw in his closing points here tonight and reiterate what is critical for our mental health crisis in Liberia as you take your 2-3 minutes to close out here.
So I know a kid who grew up in a very abusive home, and both parents were on drug, and that kid ended up in foster care. For so many years, he lived in foster care, traumatized and re-traumatized, traumatized. That kid was adoptified. That kid was on drug in 1, 2, 4, 5 different substance abuse facility for treatment. And right now, he worked with the city governor because he went and got treatment and doing a whole lot better. The root of our problem today in Liberia is mental health. And if we can put our boots on and show empathy with passion and compassion and a desire to make a difference, we are going to revolutionize this system, and we're going to change the mindset of every young man in Liberia and create a new generation, a group of people that will hold Liberia up in the upcoming years. I used to say, I told a joke to my wife a year ago. I said, the only way Liberia would change, if we take a jet and go over Liberia and kill everybody and get rid of everybody and take a whole new group of people in Liberia and start rebuilding. It's funny. But I believe that change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. And we can do it. We can do it. We have been given the opportunity to learn and assimilate a culture that's totally different from ours. And the skills that we have and the knowledge to go back and make this change. No amount of money can change this. We have to go down there with passion and a desire to effectuate change in Liberia. And it's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
Mr.
much for your contribution here tonight. We appreciate your time here with us in the issues room. Listen, we're going to be doing a series of this conversation. So we'll reach out to you again somewhere down the road, because again, our concern here in the issues room is that the state of mental health correlates with our elections, and we want to begin the sensitization around what these people should be thinking as they go about selecting, electing rather, who should be the next leaders for our country in the next 6 years. Moses, so Teddy will let you go. I will know your family man. You gotta go catch up with the kids and do your thing. But
Thanks, Teddy. It was a pleasure.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you for coming. But yeah, Volcano, this was indeed a great show. Teddy was great. The colors were also great. Like Alma, everything Alma said, they are effective
And
coping
you said it
skills.
before even Amma said those things. So,
Yeah, they are all effective coping skills for dealing with what? PTSD. He said he's constantly on the alert. You know, in the brain, there's a switch that alternates between stability and crisis. When someone struggles with PTSD, the person on the switch is constantly on. That's what they call survival mode. You heard him say that he doesn't drive smaller cars because he's constantly thinking that he's on the battlefront. Someone's going to come and harm me. So when he rides an SUV, he can look here and there. He feels comfortable.
he's up in height.
Yeah, it's up there. He's not threatened. With a smaller car, he thinks somebody can come in a blind spot and do something. Volcano, the problem of at-risk youth in Liberia should be seen in a larger context. Volcano, some of those kids were separated from their parents at a very young age. Do you know what it means to be separated from your parents? That can contribute to significant trauma, failure to thrive, seeing your mom being killed in your presence, no support. What do you tend to? Drugs. And I would like to wrap it on this. You see, when you hear about opioids we have what we call prescribed opioid, fentanyl, morphine, oxycodone. These drugs are prescribed. Like when you go through surgery, they prescribe them for you for pain management.
And they're very potent.
Very, very powerful. And the longer you stay on them, the likelihood of you becoming an addict. And when you get hooked, Volcano, if you don't take any of those pills, You get sick almost like you come and die. They go through withdrawal. So for the fear of not wanting to go through the withdrawal, that's why they continue to run after it. Because what happens is that the body gets adjusted. So to have that equilibrium, when it's like somebody who is diabetic and the person's sugar level drops. You see how terrible it can be for the person, right? So in order to function well, that sugar level has to be
Yeah, they got. I have a
balanced.
my man.
Yes,
You got candy, man. My sugar level has to
yeah.
clear up. Yeah.
They may have to look for orange juice or something
Oh yeah,
to
orange
keep
juice.
that sugar level up. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the drug dealers. They don't want to go. I mean, the drug users, they do not want to go through withdrawals. Volcano, we have a bigger problem. I hope our national leaders will make this a priority. This is no joke. They can build all the mansions in our country. How safe is a country that when you cannot move around free the volcano? You come from Liberia, you say on Broad Street, sitting down at night, nobody goes nowhere. The country is sick. I want to say thank you for coming, man. It was indeed a great show. And I hope that we can talk behind the scene and make this something that we can do on a consistent basis and begin to look at different aspects of mental health, depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and other forms of mental health issues. Look, come and educate. Our people need education. I want to say thank you so much, man. It was good being here with you.
Yeah, man. Listen, I want to thank everyone. Thomas Awaji, thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah.
The day the issues room become the CNN of Liberia or the Fox of Liberia. I hope one of these politicians can just come buy us now and pay for us. you know, so we can take care of man Thomas, man. I'm telling you, seriously. But
Yeah.
on a serious note, we say thank you to Sam Bundle from Stephen Toba Estate for joining us here. You know,
Yeah, Steam Bonge.
people like
Don't
you,
forget about Steam Bonge.
yeah,
Yeah.
but people like you, Sam, who are undergrounds and living in the experience of the mental health crisis we talked about here tonight. Those of us who visit Liberia and you see the dejection in the people, in the young people faces, you can see that they're hopeless, that no one seems to care, only during the elections period. No one seems to care for the well-being. People are misappropriating the country's resources to things that are of infinitesimal value, rather than put it to the key critical components of nation building, as I said, which is our human population, our human capital. We're investing in people personal pockets. The president goes to sit and chill. We give him $92,000 that I have to take a whole year to work for. This guy took that money tax free, at the expense of these kids that were thrown in the dump truck. That money could do something for them and feed them. Where are they taking them? Is the question. Now, don't get me wrong. Government has to act. Government has to send a message. I applaud the government. You can't allow the country to go amok. You can't allow, the young people to be law unto themselves. Well, you got to do what we call the bite and blow, Moses.
Yeah.
You got to say the truth, then you hold behind the scene and say it, But the absolute truth here is the way forward is for government to see this as an underlying issue for the country progression. And that's what I said. When we are saying in 5 years, he's done so much for Liberia, then the 175 years of independence or the 170 years of independence is a joke. It's an absolute joke. When the people stand behind President Weah and say, Paku, you're strong, you're the best president Liberia has ever known. When you're sitting in power over the last 5 years and you have no youth program, you put $30,000 in the national budget to address mental health, and $1 million rather to
Yeah,
address
for
youth
a
program.
ratio. Yeah.
We are playing, but you have the office of that Bagbati speaker who I can barely hear. You get to call about talk more than him.
Mhm.
You understand me? Akaras Gray even talk more than him, and his budget in this is more than $1 million. When your wife, I don't know what she's doing. She only Liberian people budget, drawing anywhere over between $500,000 to $1 million. When you have Joe Howard Taylor on the office, and Joe Howard not tend to big liar now, she just kind of talk, you know. And the funny thing is, all of these people are having these big budgets, but we can see what they're delivering.
Nothing.
We really can see it. And you have your young people who are on the precipitous of destruction. We are playing. President Weah, uh, Ambassador Joe Boyka, Alexander Cummings, Tiawan Gonglo, all the political aspirants for 2023 national and presidential elections on October 10th. The young people must be a priority. The young people must be a priority. If not, Liberia is retrogressive. Liberia is stagnant, and all the little sides out there
Yeah,
that you're putting
yeah.
out to say you're developing the low, I mean, it's for nothing, because it takes one moment to throw that country in at mock. We
Yeah.
saw what happened in Brazil the other day here. So again, I'm just saying this: when the people are deprived, when they've gotten to a point of no return, they will react, and the reaction can be damning. So let's start to think again before I close. Do not have government infused in any youth development program. Devolute, take the responsibility, give it to nonprofit organizations with the expertise. Do not allow your health minister to say, yeah, I know about mental health. I put in my hand there. She already a conflict of interest. Do
Yeah.
not allow your so-called education minister to say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I will run there.
I know about that one. He already compromised. Do not allow your gender minister, Piso Serita, to say, yeah, I'm the expert. I know
Yeah.
about women violence, gender-based violence. She's already compromised. Give it to a non-profit organization that will recruit the experts, put the kinds of program in place. We can start on a small incremental basis
Yeah.
to address the mental health issue
That's
for our
true.
young people. And as they see these other young people start to make progress, those people become crusaders.
Yes,
You
gradually.
understand me?
Mhm.
Crusaders. And that's the way to go. So, Moses, I just wanted to throw that out there. And as we close tonight, I thought it was good conversation. We say thank you again for uh, being together. As
Yeah.
usual, the issues room is
Yeah.
the alternative. We hold the conversations that matter to our country. That's why we don't discuss just anything. It's
No.
not everyday politics,
Oh,
but politics has some undertone, but we have these kinds of conversation. And of course,
absolutely.
as I said, my fear is that it correlates with our national elections, and we must begin to hold a series of discussion around this topic so that
Absolutely.
hopefully it can create some enlightenment in our
Yeah.
population.
Hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
As usual, man, it was good
Good.
being here tonight.
Good to
Enjoy
see
and
you. Good
look
to see
forward
you.
to seeing you soon.
Yeah, Blowjet, welcome, man. Thank you. We're leaving now. Bye bye. Godwin, we are doing.
Yeah.
Thank you too for coming. Sam Bondo from Liberia. Spring Bonge, we say so much. Thank you to you. I'm a Fremo. Great story, man. You just elevated the conversation to another level. At least you are a real person, and someday you could sit in here with us, just
And
to share
share.
the platform. Yeah. Uh, Steve Boley, thanks, man, for calling and contributing your expertise here. We say thank you also to Bennett O'Connor. Uh, everyone who showed up here tonight. Raymond Clark, it was good seeing you, my brother. Um, Alvin Pennell, yes, thank you for joining us. We hope you'll come back. We encourage you folks to continue to join the Issues Room, Mapu Hall. It was good seeing you here tonight. Manka Casey, it was good seeing you. Just all of you who showed up here and show us love. Continue to invite someone to the Issues Room, share our page, love us, like us. You can follow us. We're here Tuesdays and Fridays on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on the Issues Room page. Aaron Kofa Chia, we say thank you. Rachel Hammer, we say thank you. Arthur Tati. And we do this because we want you to know that your presence here with us matters. We know that there are many competing platforms, as we said. Some people kind of play music, they do all kind of things. Other people come, they talking about one political party. Somebody say they will maybe we are president, other men say we may come as president. But we appreciate that if you can find time to just come and join us. We say thank you to Namento, Nino Brown, Flomo Livingstone, Mitchell London, Rivers S Pro. We say thank you, Forje Monu. It was good seeing you here, my brother, tonight. Thanks to everyone. Good night, Moses.
Yeah, good night, Volcano. It was a pleasure.